Well, good evening and welcome to University College Dublin, to the Quinn School of Business in Belfield, Dublin, Ireland. Welcome to our webinar this evening and thank you so much for joining us. We'll just take a minute or so to allow everybody in who wants to join this evening. And as I say, we're delighted that you can come and join us to learn a little bit more about the school, about the programs, about the opportunities, and most importantly, to get to meet some of the staff and the students that are here with us this evening. So thank you very much. It's probably midday or mid-morning, wherever you're joining from. But in Dublin right now, it is evening, it is dark. I am live in the Quinn School behind me. We have some students walking by doing work. Class is finished for the day, so it is a little bit quieter. Okay, so I think we have everybody in, so I'm going to get started and I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Aoife Doherty and I am the director, one of the directors here in the Quinn School. I look after the admin side of the School of Business. We are joined by my colleagues, Emily Cassidy. Emily is our International Student Coordinator and Valerie Abbott is our Marketing Manager and Student Recruitment Manager. And on the student side, we have two students and one graduate actually from the Quinn School. Emma Marin is on our Bachelor of Commerce program in final year. Jacob Gallagher is on our BSc Business program, also in final year. And Claire Reid completed her studies with us last year in the Quinn School and is now doing a graduate program in our graduate school, the Smurfit School of Business. So that's who is with us this evening on the webinar. And we're all going to share some experience and some thoughts. So to get started, I mean, this is a pretty obvious one, but why study business in the Quinn School? If you're here this evening, you're here because you have an interest in business. You might have applied for a program. You might be thinking about applying for a program in University College Dublin in the Quinn School. And there are many business programs around the world, but why Quinn? What would draw you to the school here in Quinn? Well, one of the reasons is that we are a globally ranked business school. We have been for over 20 years. We participate in a lot of international rankings and standards, and we use that as a mark of our quality, our academic research, our faculty output, the teaching, the facilities, and the career opportunities of our students. So we're very proud of our rankings and our accreditations, which are globally and internationally recognized. We call it triple accreditation. They are European, American, they're global, the various rankings that we have. In terms of universities in Ireland, we are the largest university in Ireland. The University College Dublin has over 35,000 students registered. That's undergraduate and graduate. In relative terms, that might be small compared to some universities in the States, but it is the largest in Ireland. So it is the first choice university for students in Ireland. I mentioned outcomes, and graduate outcomes are one of the things that we're also very proud of in the school. Students come, they study our business programs, they avail of the opportunities and the supports available. And when they complete, the majority of our students, around 95% of our students within 6 months of graduation are in employment or, like Claire, in further study. So there's lots of pathways when you complete, either, as I say, into employment, supported through our careers team, or through to graduate study in UCD or further afield. And we do have students who continue their studies overseas, so everywhere from MIT to Oxford to LSE in London. So there's lots of graduate potential and opportunities. We're mentioning a global university, and we are a global university connected with over 70 exchange partners globally. Our footprint, we have overseas campuses in Singapore, Hong Kong, and Sri Lanka. And we have plenty of exchange opportunities for students on our programs who want to go further afield. So not just satisfied with coming from the States to Dublin, you might want to spread your wings further afield and go throughout Europe, back to North America, or through Asia or Australia, New Zealand. There are plenty of opportunities across our programs to engage. Internships are another feature of all our programs. On our BSc Business, our BCom, and our BSc Economics and Finance, students have the opportunity to engage in a one-year paid placement. Those are based in Dublin with global employers or overseas. We support students whatever route they want to go. There are tons of opportunities, and at this point, point with our programs and our development, around 85% of students on our programs choose to avail of the internship placement. We're very proud of our teaching faculty here in the school. It is dynamic, it is innovative, it is research-led. We have cutting-edge professors who deliver their research back into the curriculum. The curriculum is updated regularly. Right now, actually, we're going through a review of the curriculum to make sure it meets the needs of employers and graduates. Our environment here in the Quinn School, which is right behind me, is an open learning environment. We have been in this building for 20 years. We extended it in 2019 with a new wing, which is the wing that I'm currently in now, which hosts our larger auditoriums, which has small study spaces. We call it kind of caves and commons. Students can be in smaller spaces to study in smaller groups, or they can be in open, wide spaces. And along with that, we have tech-enabled rooms, we've active learning rooms. This is just a dynamic canvas for students to learn and engage throughout their time in the Quinn School. Our global classroom, we mentioned we have a very large global footprint, and we have students from over 50 countries currently studying in our undergraduate population. Our business alumni network, because we have been doing undergraduate business education for a long time, our heritage stretches as far back as 1908, when we started our Bachelor of Commerce program. So during that time, we have picked up many graduates and alumnus along the way. And right now, our alumni network is over 100,000. And those 100,000 alumni are not just are focused in Ireland, they are global, and they connect regularly with our students through talks, through career opportunities, and as part of our alumni mentoring program, which I'll speak about later on. In terms of who we have currently in the school, we have almost 2,300 undergraduate students across our 5 programs. I mentioned that they come from near and far. Around 10% of our population come from overseas, and then we have a very strong domestic presence in the programs. And along with that, we also have 500 or so students who come on exchange. So they come from Canada, Australia, throughout Europe, and they come for an exchange trimester to learn, engage with our students. And of course, our students reciprocate and go overseas. So that is just the broad brushstrokes of what life, or what the setup in the Quinn School is like. But here, sometimes instead of telling, we prefer to show. So this is what the school currently looks like. On the top left, we have our new wing, which opened in 2019, the Moore Centre for Business. On the right-hand side, with all our flags representing our students and our student engagement. This is the Quinn School, the older wing, which is around 20 years old. And that photo there was actually taken quite recently at one of our alumni activities. This was our alumni mentoring program, which is available to students in second year who are linked in with an alumnus who will give them support, career advice, all before they prepare for their internship in second year. And the photo deck below shows a few more snapshots of the school, some of the more cutting edge things that we have available, like our Bloomberg Lab, which is dynamic financial information. Students can avail of the Bloomberg Lab. They can become certified, which would be pretty important if you're interested and leaning towards finance as a career. I've mentioned some of this already, but our space here in Quinn is pretty dynamic, and we think of it in ways that students can explore. We encourage students to think differently. We encourage students to think bigger, to think about business, not just for the sake of business, but business in providing solutions, societal solutions, looking at the role and the function of business globally. We call it Space to Create. We have maker spaces across the Quinn School here. Students are actively encouraged to use these spaces. We have a media room where the team, both staff and students, can create media content. We actually deliver a podcast once a month, the College of Business podcast. I know my colleague Valerie will tell us the correct title shortly. It's just one to keep an ear to if you're interested in learning a bit more about the business environment in Ireland. It regularly features staff, students occasionally, and an alumnus from our global network. And the bottom left hand, we refer to space to collaborate, because that is what we feel business is about. It's about connecting, collaborating, network, thinking in different ways and learning from each other, which is what we set ourselves in the Quinn School to do. So looking at the programs, and hopefully you will be familiar with some of these programs. These are 5 main undergraduate degrees. We have our Bachelor of Commerce, which is a generalist degree program. This is the program that commenced in 1908. So it has a long tradition. We have kept the title since 1908, the Bachelor of Commerce. It is generalist in nature, so students will do a little bit of all the business disciplines. So that involves some accounting, finance, marketing, human resources, IT, maths, statistics, the general overview of business across first year and second year. And then in final year, you have the opportunity to shape your degree a little bit more. You can pick more into any of those disciplines that you're interested in, or you can combine them together. It's up to you to shape the pathway of your degree. And of course, along the way, there's plenty of opportunities, including that exchange trimester in the second half of second year, and the internship program, which, as I mentioned, a lot of our students are now engaged in. A sister program to that, and newest to our portfolio, is the BSc Business Program. So that leans on the heritage and tradition of the Bachelor of Commerce program, but it is built for a global audience. So within that, we have created some modules around intercultural learning, dynamic teams, giving an overview of business in Ireland and business in the EU. So it's very much designed for an international cohort in mind. And the opportunities are similar to the BCom in terms of exchange and internship year. So that is our newest program. We launched that program in 2020, and Jacob, who is with us, will be in the second graduating cohort of this class. So we're delighted you're here this evening, Jacob, to talk a little bit more about it. Our Bachelor of Commerce program is our combined business and language program. And we see a number of students coming from the States every year that have strong Spanish language abilities. And this program can be a good option if you're interested in pursuing your language, you're interested in learning more about business and life in Spain, because you could spend a year in Spain. It is 4 years in nature, 3 years in the Quinn School, 1 year overseas. I mentioned Spanish, but we have other language options from French, Spanish, German, Chinese, and Italian. So it's very multicultural in nature. Along with business and language, students take some additional content modules from the language subject areas. So it might be French New Wave cinema, it could be literature of Mexico and Spain, it could be detective novels from Germany in the 1930s. There are a range of interesting and creative options available. And the reason behind that is not just to give students business and a language, but to help you a little bit more with the culture of the country that you're intending on working in or studying the language of. So the second last program I want to refer to is our BSc Economics and Finance. And this is slightly different from the previous 3, which are generalist business in nature. This is a highly quantitative program. It is focused on maths in the initial year. And from that, students will learn to use their mathematical skills from algebra, calculus, linear regression, and apply it in an applied way to finance and economics. It is a 3-year program with the same opportunities as the Bachelor of Commerce and the BSc Business. Students can go abroad in the second half of second year globally, and they can avail of a paid internship between second year and third year. It is a very competitive program. So the profile of students that come in would normally have done a lot of maths, or math, as you'd say in the United States. For high school, they would have taken maybe AP classes in calculus. It is for those with a keen interest in math. The final program that I'll refer to is our Business and Law, which is our double degree. It is 4 years and it is combined 50% business and law. It's for those that have a general interest but not refined at this point in time. You might be interested in combining legal studies with the business background. You may be more interested in the regulatory environment. If so, this is a good option. It is flexible enough that students towards their final year can tilt their interest towards business, or law. You can't drop either of them. You must continue with all these through your 4-year degree program. And it is, as I mentioned, a double degree. So you'd be based in the Quinn School here, but also in our neighbouring school, the Sutherland School of Business. So that is just the quickest run through. I'm sure you'll be familiar with these. I'm sure you've looked at them and are considering or have already applied for one. Again, just a few images from our global network. So I mentioned exchanges. We have Singapore here on the left-hand side. That's one of our more popular exchange partners. Students go abroad for a year. And I think on the right-hand side, unless somebody can correct me, I think that could be Chicago. I'm not quite sure. No, Seattle. Honestly, not sure, but it is another global environment that students can go to. As I mentioned, we have over 70 exchange opportunities. It's available. It can be competitive. Students must have a strong GPA from the first year of the program to be able to engage in the exchange opportunities. But we find it a good way for students to build up their network as well and have another international experience. That generally runs from January until May. Career supports are one of the things that we value and take very seriously in the Quinn School, and that begins from stage 1 of your degree program. Students are introduced to external speakers, to alumni coming back to talk about their experience, where they're working, how they got to where they are. We bring students in year 1 out on insight days to companies so they can get a sense of perhaps what a professional services firm does, what a tech firm does, what it looks like in the world of work and how that is currently changing. So we bring students in first year out on these experience days to open students' minds to different opportunities. We continue that in second year with study trips to London, particularly for those interested in finance who go network with a range of companies. I mentioned our alumni mentoring program that's available to help students in second year as they lean towards a 1-year internship. The 1-year internship, the team here in Quinn do a lot of preparation and help students before they engage in that internship. And I know that Claire, who's with us this evening, Claire was on internship 2 years ago, so might tell us a little bit more about that. But we help in terms of interview skills, CV preparation, and then we run a boot camp for students before they exit and leave us for the year to go on their internship. So a lot of preparation and work. And then when students come back, we have a reflection module called Personal Development Portfolio, mainly in the Bachelor of Commerce, where students can reflect on their experience and work towards more career planning and career progression. So that's just a range of some of the companies that we work with on our 1-year internship program. Some are global, some are more local. The majority of opportunities are based in Ireland, predominantly in Dublin, but we have some students who are overseas. Some have been throughout Europe, London, Luxembourg. We have some in the United States, in New York, and we also have some this year in Dubai. So we provide all these opportunities for students, but we also have a flexible approach that if you have a job that you want to work in for the year, we will work with you to get that approved. So we co-partner on these, but we provide a lot of the opportunities. Okay, so I think I'm going to hand over to Emily now. Emily's going to talk you through some of the supports that students can expect in the Quinn School.
All right, thank you, Eva. Okay, so as Eva mentioned, supporting our students is a key priority for us. So whether that's providing career support, academic support, or personal support, I'm the International Student Coordinator here at the Quinn School, so I provide guidance and support all of our non-EU full degree students, meaning I'll be in touch with you from the time that you're admitted to UCD. I'll meet you in person during orientation week and organize International Students Welcome event, and I'll remain a point of contact throughout your studies in the Quinn School. In addition, each undergraduate program has a dedicated program manager and an academic director, and they're available to discuss any issues specifically related to your program or any modules that you're taking. We have a wonderful student advisor who assists students with social, financial, or personal issues. And at the student level, there are peer mentors. So before you start your studies, you'll be paired with a peer mentor, someone who's currently studying in the Quinn School. And this person will be in touch with you and they'll show you around campus and provide a bit of student guidance. The university also provides a number of supports as well. We have an amazing English writing center, a math support center. So let's say you're taking a difficult maths class and you might need a little bit of extra support. There are tutors in this center who can help you. Recently, our largest library on campus was just renovated this year to include 535 student learning spaces in a very modern and plant and light-filled setting. We also have a disability team here. So if you have a disability and you bring your proper documentation from a medical professional, you can register with our team and be provided with the proper exam and classroom supports that you may need. Let's see, we might, so UCD Global is also a major source of support, and they've set up this International Student Society. So this society organizes all sorts of trips. They go surfing, they explore other parts of Ireland. Okay, and we might move on to, let's see, scholarships and awards now. So at the Quinn School, academic excellence is recognized and we celebrate the achievements of our students. There are a number of pre-entry scholarships that you can apply for once you've received an offer to one of our undergraduate degree programs. We would really encourage you to apply for the Global Excellence Scholarship. If you haven't heard of this scholarship, it's a 100 or 50% tuition scholarship administered by the UCD Global Office. However, the Quinn School also has a number of 40% VPI business tuition scholarships. And this involves a formal application and selection process. I believe we're updating our website at the moment, and we'll have more details on this scholarship very soon. For current students, we have more awards and scholarships that current students are eligible to apply for and receive. And each year we hold a scholarships, awards, and prizes event for all of our student award recipients, celebrating their achievements and academic excellence. So I'm just going to also show you a few more images here. So as you can see, we have such a vibrant student community here in UCD. So here's some pictures of students exploring Dublin and the surrounding areas. So you really don't need to go far to explore Ireland. You can see the Cliffs of Moher. This is one of the pictures in the center. It's about 2 hours away from Dublin, and it's very accessible by train or bus. And then some of the bottom images are, there's an image of students bog jumping. I haven't done this myself, but I hear it's really fun. And let's see. We love to celebrate student holidays. So you can see we have donuts here for celebrating the 4th of July. We celebrated, or the International Student Society organized another event for Indian students and their Diwali holiday. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, and here's another image of the Cliffs of Moher. These are just beautiful scenic cliffs, and the Cliffs of Moher are close to Galway, if you've heard of that city. So again, it's only about 2 or 3 hours away from Dublin, so very accessible. You don't need to hop on a plane to travel around Ireland. And finally, here's a picture of some of our other students, and in the background you can see the Dublin Bay. So the Dublin area has so much to offer. We have the coast, we have the mountains, and all of these features are very accessible from campus.
Okay.
All right, so I think we might hear from our students and see what their experience has been like in the Quinn School and UCD and Ireland.
Thank you so much, Emily, for that. It's great to get that overview of the supports. And if anybody's wondering, yes, it is always sunny in Dublin. It never rains here, I promise. So I'm going to ask our students if they wouldn't mind switching on their cameras, and we'll do a quick intro. We'll say hello to everybody. And I'm grateful for our students who've taken time out of their busy schedule to come and join with us this evening. So I might go around to get everybody to say hello and introduce themselves, if that's okay. And Claire, because you're closest on my screen, I might start with you, if you wouldn't mind saying hello, saying a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and how you found your way to UCD in the Quinn School.
Well, my name's Claire, as you guys have probably pieced together. I'm originally from Tennessee, and I did my undergrad in commerce 2019 to 2023. And now I'm doing my master's in digital marketing at the Smurfit School. So still UCD, but in a different part of Dublin is where the campus is based. I don't know. When I first decided I want to study at UCD, it was mostly because it was on the Common App in terms of finding out about UCD. But then as I started to think about what I wanted out of my college experience, I started to ask myself all the typical questions like, do I want to live in a big city, small city? Do I want a big campus, small campus? Do I want to be more in nature? Do I want to be like, again, big city? And I really found that UCD was kind of like a Goldilocks situation to where I got a mix of everything that I was kind of seeking. So for example, there's always things going on in Dublin. There's always big concerts going on, or always something going on in town, lots of nice restaurants. But then you also kind of have that like countryside appeal to where it's so easy to go to a smaller city within a couple hours on the train, or like you can be a little bit out of city center like UCD is and kind of have this out of big city experience, but then take a 30-minute bus and you're right in the heart of it all. So I kind of realized that I didn't have to sacrifice anything at first. But then as time went on and I was looking more specifically into the course, I realized I was getting a very top-notch education. Like when I was looking into the accreditations, I realized, oh, this isn't just, some random school like in a different country. This is a globally recognized school with a very rigorous curriculum, and the internship year was incredible to do. And I really feel that my career trajectory benefited from it. And so all these factors together made me go from, okay, this is just some school on the Common App to, oh, this is the school. So yeah, that's the short and the long of my journey.
Thanks a million, Claire, for sharing that. We're going to jump back in again with you in a little bit about the internships to hear a little bit more about that. But I might ask Jacob for your reflections. Jacob has come from California. So how did you get from California to Dublin, Jacob?
So in terms of California to Dublin, it was definitely a journey, but the way I sort of came across just the idea of going to school in Ireland is because my entire life I've been very passionate about real estate development. Most recently, this past summer, if anyone is from LA or California, maybe you've heard the name Rick Caruso. I was his intern at The Grove, the second highest sales per square foot shopping center in the US. And it was something, that I really wanted to pursue. And Ireland's real estate market is and has been on a double-digit growth rate for the past probably 12 years minimum, if not longer. And when I looked at that, I was like, you know what, this might be a market that's a very dynamic market that I want to learn in, that I want to be immersed in, and that I felt that could teach me a lot. So I looked at schools. Quinn School was the best one for undergraduate business. So next thing you know, I hopped on a plane and showed up.
Good stuff. So you took a more macro approach. You were looking at the business environment, the country, and thought, okay, I can learn a little bit about Ireland and Dublin and our exorbitant real estate prices, which are high, as you mentioned, double digits. Thanks a million, Jacob. And Emma, you had a slightly different journey and pathway into the Bachelor of Commerce program. So would you mind sharing a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so I'm Emma and I'm also from California. I'm actually from San Francisco, so like the north side of California. And I'm a final year in Bachelor of Commerce, but I originally went in through the liberal arts and sciences. program, which gave me like, because in high school, I didn't know if I wanted to do business, or I was like, oh, I might do science as well. So I was kind of like undecided. So liberal arts and sciences program is like an undecided program. And so I was there in their program for 2 years, where I was taking half of my classes were business, half of my classes were science. And at the end of year one, I decided that I wanted to do commerce. So then in third year, I was transferred into the Bachelor of Commerce, and I loved it ever since. And it was like the best decision I could make. And then for me, like why I wanted to come over to Ireland, it's a bit more personal because my dad, he's actually from Dublin. So like we go every single summer, and like I was like, I could relate to the culture and I always loved going. So that's why I chose UCD. And then I was transferred into the commerce program as well.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Emma. So on that liberal arts program, as you mentioned, you got the opportunity to try out a couple of things before you decided on what major pathway or program pathway you were going for. And that is a good way as well for people who are not fully confirmed on what you want to do. It allows maximum flexibility, I think, as well. So Emma, you had the benefit of having perhaps some family in Dublin when you made that big transition to come over. But for Claire and Jacob, who didn't have that, can you tell us a little bit about how you found your time in Dublin? What was it like to settle in? Was it easy? Was it challenging? How different are we culturally from the United States?
I can take this question there. So I am very aware that the advice I'm about to give is very cliche for these types of talks, but getting involved genuinely was the main jumpstart to my social life in Dublin. In the States, there's kind of this idea, and I think it comes from high school, to where when you're doing like an extracurricular, it's for like your resume, or it's for like clout on campus. But in Dublin, there's very much a different culture around getting involved on campus. It's about kind of finding a community that you like and doing something together to create something together. But then also like you can put it on your resume. So at the very beginning of my degree, I was in food society, and then I was also president of philosophy society. So on the surface, it seems like it has nothing to do with my degree, but the friendships that I made in those groups like are my best friends to this day, and that's been almost 5 years ago. And then in terms of culture, I'd say Irish people as a whole are generally like quite easy to get on with. Like I'll just be randomly in the supermarket, like doing my weekly shop, and I'll turn to the person beside me and just start having a conversation. It's very American just to start a conversation, but also the people around you will just be very receptive to talking. There's no like cliques that you have to break through. People are very welcoming in general. And so I'd say that mixed with taking the initiative to be present in my classes and being present in student life, those things altogether made the transition easier than it would have been for say in a different place.
So it's about being open, getting involved. And I guess if you're the kind of student who's willing to come from the United States to America, you have that in your mindset, that growth mindset, that engagement mindset. So you're already coming kind of preformed with that a little bit. Jacob, is that your experience? Can you think back to 3 years ago when you settled in into Quinn, and you came just at the end of COVID?
Yeah, so I got lucky in the sense that when I got here, I didn't get the fully restricted phase of COVID. So we were coming out of it. So obviously, you know, if you come here, the experience is definitely going to be a bit more open because there's not going to be as many restrictions on travel, indoor dining, and et cetera, et cetera. But my experience settling in was actually pretty great. So when you come here as a first year international student, you're guaranteed on-campus housing. And a lot of people who live on campus are other international students. Y'all are, you know, going to be there all the time. It's like you can probably go home on the weekend. So I woke up one morning and then some dude was like knocking on my door asking if like we wanted to like go get dinner. And so we did. And since then, he lives in Dubai. I've like crashed with him for a month. So it's you never know what's going to happen. Just keep an open mind and just go with the flow.
Go with the flow. Emma, what about you? Did you have a different experience, or does it seem kind of similar?
No, I say it's pretty similar. Like I was on COVID like for my first year, so it was a bit difficult, but I had like great roommates in the beginning. And then for the last 2 years, I was on the swim team, and that's where I made most of my team. I mean, most of my friends. Like, and to this day, I'm still really good friends with them. I say like what Claire said, just get involved in as many societies and clubs, and you'll definitely make friends here.
Good
So.
stuff. So that's kind of the social life and the settling in. But academically, the academic framework in Ireland is slightly different from the States. There's a slightly different emphasis on the way we assess. Does anybody want to talk a little bit about that? Did you find it a challenge coming from high school into a different academic environment? What did you notice? Anyone?
I'll take this question there. So if you're wondering about what the specific course load for your course will be, you can go on the UCD, just Google UCD course search, and you can see the breakdown specifically for commerce or commerce international or ec and phi. But as a whole, Ireland is more focused on larger assessments or exams. You can kind of game it when you're selecting modules to kind of edge away from the exams. Like for example, when I was finishing up my commerce degree, I didn't really have much exams, and in my master's, I don't have any exams. But in the States, it's typically like you have small little assignments every single week, and that accumulates into your final grade. In Ireland, it's more so that you'll have bigger assignments or bigger group projects that comprise your end grade. There's pros and cons to that, and you'll kind of know yourself on what suits you best. I like the Irish way more because instead of doing like small little assignments that I don't really feel like are building up to anything and that also kind of like loom over me week to week, I can kind of be more purposeful and intensive into the projects that I'm doing, as well as taking time to like actually like get into the thick of what I'm trying to learn about. So I'd say, yeah, some people might be spooked off a bit by having assignments comprise a bigger portion of your grade. But I would not let that scare you off. I would kind of frame it more so as you can be more intentional, you can delve deeper into the subject matter at hand, but you can also kind of spend time with an assignment and kind of work on it to craft it in a quality way, rather than in the States, you always have to turn things in every single week, to where it's kind of more so about getting it done than learning or, you know, building upon the quality.
That's a good reflection between formative and summative assessment. And that assessment that you do throughout the semester, those bigger chunks of assessment, generally those are in a group setting as well. So it's a good way to engage with a team. It's a good way to learn how to operate team dynamics to get a result. And that can be a bit of a challenge at times. Emma, I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about what you have studied. So if you can think back to first year, maybe give a sense of what you studied, anything that stood out for you across first year and second year of the program.
Yeah, I would say like it was mainly maybe more general. Like you did a bit more like math related, or you do a bit more finance. It was very broad, I would say, in the first 2 years. And then in like as I am in my final year, it was more like I'm structured. So I chose more marketing major since I want to go into marketing. But the first 2 years would be mainly generally broad. But then I also want to point out what Claire said as well about the exams as well. Like they're also like 70 to 80% like overall exams, like based on like I guess it's like your overall, that's what your exam is. But like we also have like UCD math support. I use that in first and second year a lot. I think it was like one of the modules was like math for business. So I was definitely in the math support, and they were great, and it helped me pass that module. So I would say it's a great support system as well.
So that is one of the things that Emily was referring to. So on UCD campus, we have a maths support centre where anybody who's struggling with any quantitative area can go down, make an appointment with a tutor, go as many times as you can get an appointment. And this is all part of the support structure. And we also have, on the other side, of the more qualitative side, we have a writing support centre. So anybody who's struggling with writing an essay or an assignment, you can make an appointment, go see one of the tutors, get them to work through the process with you. What they're not going to do is autocorrect or write it for you, but they will help you. They'll help you think and formulate what it is you want to say. Jacob, can I go to you a little bit, thinking about your academic experience on the BSc Business? Could you pick out or highlight a module or two that was particularly interesting or challenging?
All right, so I think one of the more interesting ones that I've taken, a really interesting one is actually one that I took as an elective. It's just global development goals. That one was actually based, or at least it was taken out of a Quinn classroom with Professor Patrick Paul Walsh. That one was just a really good sort of intro to the Sustainable Development Goals and the 2030 UN Agenda, which is obviously very, very relevant to us. There's an SDG display actually in the Quinn School, but it was a really yeah, just right behind Eva. But it was a really good module. It was very well taught. The guest lectures were great. And the best part about it actually resulted in me, because UC actually has NGO status with the UN Economic and Social and Cultural Council. So I got to be a delegate in June to July of 2022 to the UN Ocean Conference, which was an awesome experience over in Lisbon. Another interesting one, bit of a divisive one amongst people who've taken it, is the business management simulation and or business strategy. They're sort of mirror images of each other. They have that simulation element. Like this year, we are doing car manufacturing, and it's a group project and you meet with them sort of every week. So this is one of those classes where it's not well, there is that element of like weekly catching up and weekly assignments. There is an exam at the end of it as well. But I think it's a really fun class, given that you get along really well with your group. But it's challenging in the sense that you are forced to work together and you're forced to make decisions together that you can see and compete with other teams that are actually sitting next to you. It's not some bot that you're competing against. So it definitely gives you a little bit of extra pressure and like an edge to think about how would actual people think rather than how would a simulation think. But that makes it really dynamic and really interesting, and everyone's experience therefore is definitely different with it.
Yeah. Now that's interesting, Jacob. There are two core modules that Jacob was talking about. One is business management simulation, which you'll do in year one of the BSc Business and the BCom. And that is a longitudinal kind of operational case that you will work through with the team. And then in final year, one of the capstone modules is strategy. And it's actually the same professor who delivers both these classes. So you're bookended. They can be challenging. They are very engaging, and they will be something that you'll definitely be referring to when you head into the world of work. And just as you mentioned, Jacob, the United Nations, the Ocean Conference, it's just prompted me to think of other opportunities or other modules that are available to students. And one of the newest ones that we brought in 2 years ago is one which is hubbed around the Nobel Dialogues in Stockholm. And this is a global experience module that we run for a very small number of students. It's only 10 students in total. Students come together globally from a range of universities worldwide. They come together to work on, kind of like the SDGs, Jacob, societal problems, to come up with solutions. And then they meet together in Stockholm for a week in December, which is timetabled and scheduled around the Nobel Prize ceremony. Students present their work in Stockholm and they have it on display in the Nobel Museum, which is pretty good. It's a pretty good experience. So it is a small module, but what we're referring to here are modules which sit outside your core curriculum. These are called electives, so you can pick them anywhere across the curriculum. You can also pick them in business if you just can't get enough business. If you're on the economics and finance program, you might want to pick some more in economics. You want to pick up some more game theory or some more statistics or computational modules. It really is up to you to pick whatever you want to make more sense to you as you personalize your degree. And these degrees are pretty flexible. So flexible in terms of the electives you pick and the options you pick in final year. Any advice, Claire, on electives, or did you pick anything unusual to supplement your degree when you were going through?
The first elective that I chose was Introduction to Problems of Philosophy. And that was kind of like a side passion thing. I'm really into philosophy. And then I also did the German for general purposes as part of the structured elective. So if you look up UCD structured elective, you can get information about how if you do a certain combination of usually at least 3 electives that are related, you can have a block of electives show up recognized on your transcript. And so, yeah, I did that in German. And then at the end, I did I did a computer science elective that was just an introduction to different digital technologies. And so that was quite class, yeah.
So that is the polymath approach. So you've got quantitative, you've got philosophical, and you've got languages. That is a broad spectrum, which is a great approach. I should have mentioned earlier, if anybody has any questions, please pop them in the Q&A and we can look for any answers, anything, any more advice we can offer you. Folks, I'm thinking we are approaching the 45-minute mark. So before we conclude, is there any advice that you think would be helpful if you think back to 3, 4, or 5 years ago when you're in the position of people who are joining us on the webinar? What advice do you think might be helpful or useful? That is the philosophical question, Claire. So
one thing that I would say is just keep an open mind, because you might have sort of an idea or like a notion of what your college experience might be like, but it's definitely a dynamic experience. It's very much open to change. So honestly, if you're like loosely considering going abroad, it's definitely worth a shot nonetheless, because when you get here, there's so many different pathways and things that you can do, and there's lots of travel within Ireland, outside of Ireland. There's friends that you can meet from all over the world, and there's so much stuff to do. So just keep an open mind. You'd be surprised at, even though people do talk about how expensive Dublin is compared to, say, California, it's really not that bad. But you'd be surprised how much stuff there is. Just expect the unexpected.
okay, that's a good approach. Emma, anything on your side?
Yeah, I would just say, like, as cheesy as it is, like, just to get involved in things that you're actually like really interested in, either that be like a society or like a sports team that you maybe did in high school. I like recommend that. Yeah, get involved, go explore. Like once you get here, just go explore either in Dublin, but also Europe. You can take like a really cheap flight like from Ryanair, like anywhere you want in Europe. But I would definitely keep an open mind and get involved for sure.
Super. And just as you mentioned that, Emma, there are tons of different clubs and societies. I know we have everything from Harry Potter to lacrosse to surf to hiking. Claire, you mentioned the Food Society, and then there's loads of international clubs and societies. So there's plenty for students to get involved in. Claire, anything on your side? I'm just conscious actually that we didn't mention internships, which was something that you did in the course of your degree. So before we wrap up, could you tell us just a little bit about the internship year and how you found that experience?
I'd be delighted. So for my internship year, I worked as an events and communications assistant for Irish Funds. In other words, for about a year, I was planning finance conferences, and it's actually quite nice. Like when you think about doing an internship year, there might be kind of a perspective that you'll just be getting coffee for everyone or, filling up the printer, but that's like farthest from the truth. When I was doing my internship year, I was planning conferences in London, in Boston, in New York, and I actually went over to London to coordinate and plan and then just go through the whole process of hosting a conference. It had almost 900 people at it. And so it was quite like, what am I doing? Because I just wasn't like, because of my imposter syndrome, I didn't feel like I was ready to have such responsibility. But then when I was getting into it, I was like, you know what? It's Tuesday. I'm going to email the CEO about, something that I need to chase up with them on. And like a month before then, I would have been like, I'm going to do what? So yeah, it's just crazy looking back on it, like the amount of responsibility that I had, but I felt completely supported throughout the whole way. So I would definitely think about doing the internship year. Like in general, the best decision of my life was probably to study at UCD. I mean, I wouldn't be doing this webinar if I didn't believe that. Cheesy. But in terms of my actual degree, like the internship year was the most valuable part, because now that I'm in this master's, I feel like I have like a very comprehensive education, but also because of the internship year, I feel extremely suited into going into the real world without any second guessing. So I definitely suggest doing the internship.
Thanks, Claire. So that's the combination of your 2 years of learning in Quinn, you're putting into practice, you're experiencing the business world. And as I mentioned before, there's opportunities for all the different programs. So those that are interested in economics and finance, we have a lot of opportunities in London and in Dublin in corporate finance. And these are all paid opportunities. So, you know, your time and work is valuable. So we do not allow our students to go on a full year internship without it being paid. So the salary ranges right now, ranges from around 24,000. The upper end, and I'll stress this is upper end because it's only one that we had last year, but we had one opportunity last year that was 65,000 euros for that internship year. And that was in quantitative finance in a trading area. So there's something to suit everybody. And if it's not there, then the door is open for you to create it or to find one as well that will work for you. So again, I'm sorry, we're really running through everything today. I wish we had a little bit more time, but I'm going to hand over to Valerie, because Valerie, I think you have a slide on what you'd like anybody who's interested, how they might follow up with us.
Sorry, I was on mute. Hello, everyone. So yes, I didn't get to say hello, but it's lovely to have you all here this evening. And I think we gave a great overview. So there's, you know, I think between Aoife and our students, I suppose there's two things that we say to consider when you're doing your option. Sorry now. It's the school and the environment here, and we do offer a really lovely environment here. We're very welcoming, we're very inclusive. So we hope that came across this evening, but also academically as well. Then there's lots of choice and there's lots of availability in our programs. So we hope, you know, between the two that you feel that there's a really great offering here, and we would be delighted to welcome you here next year. So just in terms of next steps, I suppose it is early in the year, but I know you're really looking at your options now. I know many of you have completed your application. If you haven't finished your application, we would say, you know, look at that now and get your application in early and let it be reviewed so that you can get an offer and you've plenty of time to make your decisions. If you have any questions after today, because it is a big decision and there's a couple of programs, please reach out to either myself, Aoife, or Emily. We can book a one-to-one meeting with ourselves where we can go through the programs or any questions you have. Or also, we're happy to put you in touch with a student as well. You know, if you'd really like to take it offline, maybe chat to a student directly, we will arrange that for you. It's important that you get the answers to whatever you need to help you make the decision, and we're here to help you do that. If you do get an offer, I suppose we'd be delighted to welcome you, so we'd encourage you to accept the offer. But, you know, as you're making your decision, there will be lots of events. We'll hold another event similar to this later on, early in 2024. We'll probably have some of our academic staff with us on that as well. I know the team in the US will hold some in-person events in March and April, so we would encourage you to go to them. They're a great opportunity to meet staff from University College Dublin and from the regional team. And I suppose, you know, if there are opportunities there for you, do come and visit us in Dublin as well. If you're able to do that, come onto campus, come and visit Quinn. That's a really, really great way to help you make your decision. You'll hear a lot of check your email regularly. All the communication once you submit an application is going to be through email. So it's really important to keep an eye on your email, on your account, just to see the information that's coming through. Particularly, there's going to be key dates, information about scholarships, applications opening. That's all going to be sent to you via email. So just keep an eye and make sure that that's part of what you do now over the next couple of months to keep yourself informed. And I suppose then we would say we can't underestimate at a local level for you the importance of your regional centre as you make your decisions. So do keep in contact with them and keep connected with them and follow any advice or information that they have. And I suppose that's it from us for this evening. I'll let Aoife wrap it out, but thanks so much for coming along. And really, I suppose the big thing is if you have any questions, if you want more information, do contact us and we'd be delighted to chat with you.
Super. Thanks so much, Valerie. We might take it off screen share so we can see everybody again. And just before we conclude, I see that we have one question from Ian. I hope it's okay, Ian, that we mention your name. Welcome, Ian. Thank you for joining us. Ian was asking about clubs and societies and how they relate to what you're doing in college, or do they relate? And Jacob very kindly gave an answer that sometimes clubs and societies can just be about having a bit of fun. So the Food Society, for example, Harry Potter, the chess club. That's about just interacting, broadening your network, meeting people, meeting fellow students across the university. However, there are clubs and societies that are more focused and related to your program. So we have an Investors and Entrepreneurs Society in UCD, and we have a College and Economics Society. So they're two of the major business ones. The Investors and Entrepreneurs has a range of activities. They have a range of kind of subsections within that group. They provide networking opportunity. They do company engagement, company visits. They run competitions. They have a student managed fund where they invest and trade. And the Commerce and Economic Society is one of the oldest societies in UCD. It's over 100 years. And that is kind of similar, not on the student managed fund, but in terms of engagement with employers, networking, which is what you will do a lot in the business world. So these are two kind of good foundation societies that we encourage all students to have a think about. But this year as well, some of our students on the BSc Economics and Finance have come to me with a proposal to create an Economics and Finance Society, which they feel is more tilted towards the quantitative finance area that they're interested in. So they're going to start. We have a proposal in train, and then it goes to the UCD Society's officer to review and consider. So by this time next year, we might have an additional business society in Quinn. So I think that's it. I don't know if there's any other questions or anything that we haven't covered, but this is just one of many opportunities that you have to engage with us. And we're so pleased that you came along this evening. And I can't thank our panelists enough for giving their time on this cold winter's evening. So Emma, Jacob and Claire, thank you very, very much. And of course, to my colleagues, Valerie and Emily, it's great to have you here. Emily, is there anything you want to conclude with? I mean, you've had the experience of coming from North America to live in Ireland as well. Is there anything you want to conclude with?
That's true. I guess I would echo what the students have already said. It's so important to get involved, to explore, to take advantage of every single opportunity, but to also ask for help when you need it. There are times where you might feel overwhelmed living and traveling around in a new country, but there are so many people who are just available to help. You just have to ask.
That's it. Come with your open mind and your questions. I think that's the best way to approach it. So from us here in Dublin, we wish you all a pleasant evening. Thank you very much. We hope to see you again. And you never know, we hope to see you in the Quinn School this time next year. So from all of us in Dublin, have a lovely afternoon, morning or early evening, and we will talk to you again soon. Thank you so much.